And for some Blazers fans, this has been a long time coming since Allen passed away in 2018. No question his family has, stayed involved with the franchise, committed, but some observers thought this might be in the works for a while now. Let's go ahead and bring in Brenna Green. She is with us driving down to Eugene on this Tuesday. Brenna, the draft lotto last night, Blazers maybe didn't, got a number 11 there, but then this huge news this morning. What's kind of your thinking?
I'm a little surprised that it's happening now. I thought that it would probably be another year or so, especially since it seemed like all the communication that we'd kind of received about this was that this sale would happen once they figured out the deal, which they have, to be fair. But the secondary part of it was that it's not put it this way, it's not a secret that the NBA wants to add franchises in Seattle and Las Vegas. And so I think everyone thought that the Blazers would hold off until those teams were set up and the expansion fees were paid, because those get paid out amongst the teams in the league. So the fact that this is happening today is a little surprising. I wasn't expecting it this soon. I thought that we had at least a few more years to go, to be honest with you, probably 2 more years. So the fact that this process is starting is a little surprising, but I don't think this is a overgeneralization to say the fan base very much wanted Julie Allen to sell the team.
Yeah.
I don't think that I think that she got a little bit more villainized than she probably deserved to be completely frank with you. But I can understand how fans can get there when, she doesn't speak to the media. She's never once done a media scrum or a media press conference or anything. So no official communication from the owners of the Blazers since Paul Allen died outside of statements.
Right.
Yeah. So that's not a way to win over a fan base. And at some point, people are going to be like, we're done with the Wizard of Oz here.
Yep.
So,
and especially in today's media environment, nobody needs a Jerry Jones here, but some kind of communication on a minimal level, right?
Yes. And that was not the case, to say the least. So, overall, I think this is it's a good day if you're a Blazers fan. The team needs to find some solid footing, have a new owner, have that sort of, direction. And it has been without that direction for, a while. So this is the day. I do not see the Blazers getting moved from Portland. I think the NBA is done with those days. So I would not be worried about that if I were a Blazers fan. I do not think the NBA is looking to move teams anymore. I think they understand how disastrous that is. It's a PR nightmare. And they're still dealing with fallout from moving the team from Seattle.
Yep. Let me just ask you, what do you think about, Allen buys the team 1988 or 89, I think, for something like $70 million. Now it's worth $3.5, $4 billion. All kinds of numbers are out there. But what do you think his legacy is with the Blazers? Obviously, took him to the finals twice. They never got it, but a lot of good years and then, frankly, a lot of frustrating years.
Yeah, I think the number one thing you have to look past, and the Blazers on the court are obviously a huge deal to this community, but I really don't think that Paul Allen's legacy is actually like in wins or losses, if that makes sense. The biggest thing Paul Allen did was bring the now Moda Center to Portland.
Yep.
That is really his legacy in my mind, is that building. And having a vision for the Blazers, and obviously that building now really desperately needs to be renovated. That is something that is happening. But I think that that's really his lasting legacy here is what was once the Rose Garden and now is the Moda Center.
Yeah. Now that it's officially up for sale, obviously a lot of fans, man, they'd love to have somebody from Oregon or the Pacific Northwest, be the buyer. But when you start talking about $4 billion, $5 billion, there's only a handful of people maybe in the Northwest who would even have that
Yeah.
kind of money, and some of them already have other sports franchises. So I guess the buying pool here, really, it could be anywhere from across the country or the world, couldn't it?
Yes. Um, we know that Phil Knight tried to make a
Yeah.
bid that was
Hmm.
unsuccessful. I'm curious to see if that happens again. I know that there were some ill feelings towards that whole situation.
Yes.
Um, so I do not know if the estate would be able to would be
Facilitate
willing
something.
to sell it to Phil.
Hmm.
Another thing that pops into mind when we were talking about this is that this is no secret as well. Jeff Bezos was very much interested in buying the Celtics. Could this be a situation where he ends up stepping in? I don't know. Obviously the Celtics and the Blazers are on completely different echelons in terms of
Yes.
franchises.
Yeah.
The Celtics are a historic NBA franchise, and the Blazers. So, that's something that you have to take into consideration. But the Blazers would be a whole heck of a lot cheaper. So not that that matters to Jeff Bezos. Um,
Right.
so yeah, I I really don't know where this could all land up, but those are just two people that come to mind who I know who have had, one who has had specific interest in the Blazers and another who has Pacific Northwest roots, who is who could most definitely afford the Blazers. Now,
Right.
I don't know what Jeff's involvement is with this potential new Seattle franchise, the Sonics franchise. I do not know if he's involved in that at all because that's kind of shrouded in its own
Mystery.
cloak of secrecy.
Hmm.
But just two people that come to mind to me
Yeah,
that would have
Brenna, and
this.
I've just before we let you go, I got the statement back up here. The
Mhm.
ending part of this news does not affect the Seahawks NFL
Mhm.
franchise or the state's 25% interest in the Seattle Sounders MLS, and neither is for sale. So it really looks like for the Allen estate, they are solidifying their Washington presence, and it's just the Blazers here.
Well, I mean, they do have to sell all of that as well at some
Eventually,
point.
right.
Yes. So I think that this is just their first major thing that they are quote unquote offloading. I think probably the stake in the Sounders will be I think that'll probably be a relatively easy sale.
Sure.
And then, the NFL sale is gonna be that's
That's the
oh
granddaddy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of Jeff Bezos, like
That's true. Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
I mean, but for Jeff in a way, he can have his own like he could take over basically Paul's little mini sports empire.
yeah,
Um,
that's
that's
true.
that's
Yeah.
an interesting thought I hadn't really thought of. So we'll see what happens. I'm just spitballing here like everybody else. So
Yeah. And I guess the one final thought is whoever comes in, the fan base is going to be, they're going to want to see action, movement, moves, aren't they?
yes, I mean I think that the team is going to continue to make moves through this offseason. They've they've really got to try to move either Jeremy Grant or Anthony Simons this
Hmm.
offseason. And that seems to be a priority, but we'll see what happens. So I don't think this is going to stop the Blazers from doing anything. I don't think that this is going to inhibit, like, for example, the renovation of Moda, which is supposed to happen over multiple summers.
Right.
But this they definitely this fan base. I think that it's a good clean start no matter what. This is what this franchise needs right now. This fan base needs right now, especially with everything that it has been through over the last few years. So,
Yep.
yeah,
All right, Brenna. Well, thank you. I know you're driving. I
thank
know you
you.
guys are
We
pulled over for
pulled
coffee,
over. We
but
pulled over into Corvallis. So,
okay, there you go. Where you go down to Eugene? Is that what you guys are doing?
yes,
Yep.
head into Eugene for a story. So,
All
there you
right.
go.
Sounds good. We'll see you a bit later. Thanks.
Thank you, Todd.
All right, and just for folks out there, I want to go ahead and just bring up the statement one more time here, just so everyone can kind of see it. The estate of Paul Allen today announcing it has commenced a formal sales process for the Portland Trail Blazers NBA franchise, consistent with Allen's directive to eventually sell his sports holdings and direct all estate proceeds to his philanthropy. So the Blazers officially on the selling block, and as Brent has said, we're just going to have to see. When you talk about suitors out there who might actually have the pockets to pick up a team worth $3.5–4 billion, and then what that sales process is going to look like in the end, and who comes in, and then what the fan base ultimately, what they think about it. It's just going to be really interesting to track certainly for the next 12 to 18 months here. It's going to be a process, no question about that. We're going to have a lot more on this today at noon. And if you go over to KOIN.com now, we've got a lot more details over there as well. All right, everyone. Thanks for checking in.